Did the Dodgers have like a really bad offseason? I mean, yeah, kinda. Let me explain. So Andrew Friedman, Dodgers president of baseball ops, came out with a quote a couple of days ago and saying, "I think it's safe to assume that you're going to take a step back from 111 wins." Okay, fair. I know people are a little worried about this. Yeah, I think it is realistic to think, yeah, we're going to take a step back from 111 wins. So let's take a look at the offseason for the Dodgers, what they did, what they lost, and how they're trying to address those issues. Okay, notable exits. Obvious exit, Trea Turner, boom, big loss. There is no way around that. He's gone, and that is probably the headline-grabbing move of the offseason that really hurts the Dodgers. Of course, you lose Justin Turner, franchise player at this point, 10 years in a Dodgers uniform. You lose Tyler Anderson to the Halos. You lose Cody Bellinger, we'll get into that. You lose Andrew Heaney, Chris Martin, Craig Kimbrell, Joey Gallo, Tommy Kahnle. I have this on like a very unscientific scale of impact players to not impact. And the way the Dodgers address this, at least through acquisitions, is by adding Miguel Rojas on a trade, re-signing Clayton Kershaw, adding Noah Syndergaard, getting JD Martinez, and then signing Shelby Miller. So just one-for-one swap, yeah, you're losing some stuff here. And again, you're really losing Trea Turner. That's the big loss of the offseason for the Dodgers. Now, I wanted to compare this to see how bad is this offseason compared to offseasons in most recent memory for the Dodgers. And I noticed a weird trend, so stick with me here. Last offseason, of course, this has the big caveat of the lockout looming throughout all of this. Let's start with the losses. Corey Seager, gone. Albert Pujols, gone. AJ Pollock, traded. Max Scherzer, Mets. Kenley Jansen, Braves. Luke Raley, trade. Matt Beatty, trade. Obvious, massive add. Freddie Freeman, boom, big splash. Tyler Anderson, added. Of course, he just lost him. Andrew Heaney, added. Danny Duffy, Tanner Dodson, traded. River Ryan, trade. Craig Kimbrell, trade. So that's last offseason. You call that a win. You lose Seager, you add Freeman, you lose Pujols. You know, you lose some guys. Of course, you lose Pollock in a trade, but you're getting back more than what you ended up losing. You got to remember how injured Corey Seager was over his last couple of years in Los Angeles. So yes, the talent level is a loss, but when you add a guy that has incredible longevity and incredible staying power in the majors, Freddie Freeman is an obvious win. Let's go back to the offseason prior to that, 2021. You re-sign Justin Turner, you lose Kike Hernandez, Jock Peterson, you lose some arms in Pedro Baez and Alex Wood. So pretty quiet offseason for the Dodgers in 2021, at least heading into that season. That's how I name these, by the way. What season are you heading into? That's what I call it, the offseason. Offseason prior to that, with looming over, of course, COVID. But you get massive trades in here. Alex Verdugo, Connor Wong, Jeter Downs out of the system. Boom, Mookie Betts, you get David Price. But obviously, Betts, the big add here. Brusdar Graterol added in a trade. Luke Raley added in a trade. And then you get Jimmy Nelson as well. You lose Hyunjin Ryu. Rich Hill is gone. Russell Martin retires. So does David Freese. And Kenta Maeda is traded. One more further back. 2019 offseason. You lose Manny Machado. Yasmani Grandal. Yasiel Puig's traded. So is Matt Kemp in that same trade. Alex Wood is traded. Kyle Farmer, Daniel Hudson, Tim LeCastro. You add Pollock. You add Homer Bailey. Jeter Downs into the system, Josiah Gray into the system. So are you starting to notice this trend that I'm noticing? For the Dodgers, big splashes seem to come every other offseason. Now, is that what the Dodgers' plan is, or is that coincidence? I have no idea, but that's the case since 2019. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So how does that shake out the Dodgers starting 9 in 2023? Also, quote coming out, it looks like Gavin Lux is going to be the everyday shortstop, essentially replacing Trea Turner. Projected lineup according to RotoChamp. Mookie Betts leading off, Freddie Freeman at first, with Will Smith batting third. A 1-2-3 punch that is still really good on paper. Max Muncy shifting on over to third to replace Turner. JD Martinez slotting in at the DH spot. And then you got Gavin Lux, who's going to be, as we mentioned, the everyday shortstop. You got your other outfielders, Trace Thompson, Chris Taylor, likely in center, and then Miguel Vargas, who is going to be in the mix here, probably at second base, with a lot to prove. And you're looking at your starting rotation. You go Kershaw, Urias, Gonsolin, adding Noah Syndergaard, and then getting Dustin May in the 5 spot. So if you want to talk about off-season, and you want to talk about comparing this year to last, yeah, you lose some thump in that lineup without Trea Turner. Dodgers personnel feel pretty up about Gavin Lux, and that he's going to be able to fill Trea Turner's shoes. I think that's a pretty big ask. That's no knock on Gavin Lux, but let's be real, those are some really big shoes to fill. There's no way around the reality that the Dodgers are worse at shortstop in 23 than they were in 22. Even if Gavin Lux is a really good year, which he totally could. And you think about Miguel Vargas in that 9 spot, playing second base or wherever it ends up shaking out in the lineup. But he's realistically replacing Cody Bellinger's bat, which is less shoes to fill when you consider how rough it's been for Cody over the last couple of seasons. Vargas, consensus number 3 in the system behind Cartaya and Bobby Miller. So there is some hope for Miguel Vargas. They're really excited about his bat. The defense, maybe not so much. Maybe has a decent arm, and that's probably why you're going to see him at second base this year instead of third. But the one thing I keep circling back to as I keep looking at this lineup is who's next? What if somebody gets hurt? What is the plan if somebody big goes down? And I think that's where some of the Dodgers' problems lie now. Because if somebody gets hurt, it's not like you have a major league proven guy ready to go in the wings right now. Yes, the Dodgers have an extremely strong system, but who's ready to contribute at the major league level? There are guys that you are hopeful can, but none of them are proven yet. Is Michael Busch ready to be added to the lineup and play second base? He has good pop, and he hit for power in Tulsa and Oklahoma City last season, but can he make that jump and hit major league pitching in 2023 at a significant level? Is Andy Pajes ready? He's been on a fast track over the last couple of seasons. Is he going to be ready to make that leap if somebody gets hurt in the outfield? You have a little bit of starter depth, Bobby Miller, Ryan Pepio, but again, not necessarily fully proven at the major league level yet. And in my head, I'm going, okay, Clayton Kershaw is going to get hurt at some point if history is any indication. And if Julio Urias or Tony Gonsolin go down, you're starting to get worried, especially if these injuries, which are inevitable for every team, begin to pile up. And you think again about the lack of potential major league ready outfield depth. And yes, they have a lot of strong minor league talent, but not necessarily ready. The Dodgers have the added benefit of knowing that essentially their 2 big stars in the lineup are almost a lock for pure health in 2023. Mookie Betts was pretty healthy last year, and he's been reliable in his career for the most part, save a couple of off-chance instances. And maybe the most reliable guy to be in the lineup every day, Freddie Freeman. He's only missed 10 games in his last 5 seasons. He's played 698 of his last 708 potential games. So, Freddie Freeman is a lock to play at least 140 games, unless he has a massive injury, which, to his luck, has not really happened in his career. So there are some what ifs. And when you're talking about contending with a team like, let's be real, the San Diego Padres, do the Dodgers have enough depth when somebody inevitably gets hurt? And I think that's the biggest question that Dodger fans need to be asking right now. It can be a lot of pressure for AA or AAA guys to fill in the shoes of a Mookie Betts, of a Will Smith. Guys that would have to not just fill that spot, but be impact players, not just holding down the fort, but make an impact in the lineup as soon as they get there, especially if it's the first time they've ever been there. That's a massive jump to make, and it is for 99% of players. So was the offseason a loss for the Dodgers? Well, let's go back to that kind of weird trend we're starting to see where every other offseason is a splash. So this offseason, really nothing added for the Dodgers, let's be real, at least in big names wise. Last time, Freddie Freeman. So that essentially lines up what's 2024 like. Big free agents heading into that season. Obvious name, Shohei Ohtani. We've talked about that on the channel. Matt Chapman will be available. So will Manny Machado. Don't think that's going to be a reunion, but you never know. On the pitching front, Aaron Nola, Marcus Stroman, Josh Hader, and Sean Manaea. The Dodgers will end up losing Max Muncy and Julio Urias. In theory, their contracts are up after 2023, but there are some big names. And yes, there were big names this year. Of course, the big one being Trea Turner, who left the Dodgers in the first place. But it looks like, and I'm not the first one to say this, Shohei would obviously be a massive target for the Dodgers next year. And I think in the same front, an Aaron Nola ad would be big. A Matt Chapman ad would be massive. Some guys that the Dodgers will potentially need with guys leaving like Julio or Max or Kershaw retiring, whatever that ends up shaking out to be, the Dodgers are going to have to make some moves. Their veterans are starting to shuffle out a little bit. And we've seen that over the last few years, that the Dodgers continue to lose some of their big guys, your Turners, Seagers, Kikes, Ryu, Puig, Machado, those types of guys that franchise cornerstone players that end up leaving the Dodgers and having successful careers outside of it. Of course, I say all of this with one absolutely massive caveat. I mean, it's the Dodgers, dude. They find a way somehow every year to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in baseball. So did the Dodgers have a bad offseason? I'm going to say yes, but maybe it's not as bad as you think. Look, you can look at every single roster in baseball and you're going to find a hole somewhere. But the Dodgers are so good at finding players, developing players, while also competing at the major league level that it's hard to count them out at any point. This Dodgers front office is just so good at their jobs that you can never really say they're not going to compete, at least recently. What do you think? Do you think the Dodgers are going to be good at least? Do you think they're a 100-win team? I don't know at this point if they win 100 games this season. Of course, we also mentioned how the Dodgers might approach next offseason and probably targeting Shohei Ohtani. If you're interested in learning more about the Shohei Ohtani situation in Anaheim, I made a whole video about that I'm linking to right now. Anyway, I'm Steve Granado. You can follow me everywhere, and that'll just about do it for this one. Later.